In this episode, we will look at master filmmaker Kenji Mizoguchi's Kenji Monogatari, released in 1939. Mizoguchi is one of the most prolific directors in Japanese cinema. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend that you see it before watching this episode, as there are some spoilers coming your way. Okay, let's get to it. New wave critic filmmaker Jacques Rivera writes, "You can compare only what is comparable, and that which aims high enough." Mizoguchi alone imposes a feeling of a unique world and language. He is answerable only to himself. He seems to be the only Japanese director who is completely Japanese, and yet is also the only one that achieves a true universality, that of an individual. Set in the 1880s, the movie Kenji Monogatari is a love story about a mediocre kabuki actor who falls in love with the wet nurse of his baby stepbrother. Shotaro Hanayagi plays the role of Kikunosuke, who leaves behind the prestigious theatre company his father founded in Tokyo in order to start again on the provincial stage. Kikunosuke's love interest, Otoku, played by Kakuko Mori, brings depth and innocence to the film with her performance. Mizoguchi, most famous for his period tragedies, brings you another epic drama with unbroken camera movement and intricately organized staging. Now let's take a look at how this masterful filmmaker used his unique style of filmmaking to enhance this period love story to capture the audience attention. Camera movement. As the technique of cinematography evolved, we now see a countless number of camera movements, each movement with their own visual identity. Directors who understand this aspect of storytelling can create dynamic, compelling visual stories. Let's look at the types of camera movement Mizoguchi uses in his visual storytelling. Let's begin with the opening shot of Kikunosuke's father, Kikuguru Ono, played by Gunjuro Kawasaki, getting ready before the start of the play. The scene opens with the camera panning from left to right to reveal Kikuguru Ono getting ready before the show. Camera pan is when camera moves left to right or vice versa whilst fixed in one position. And then a slow pan following him walking down towards the stage with the drum beat, emphasizing anticipation of what is to come. Panning works best with horizontal movement of a shot, and Mizoguchi uses this technique with his masterful long-form takes. Moving on to the next camera technique, camera tilt. Let's look at how Mizoguchi uses camera tilt to create distance between characters in the movie. In this sequence, the extras or theatre staff talk bad about Kikunosuke's performance sitting behind a long horizontal window. Just as they all start to laugh, the camera tilts down to reveal Kikunosuke coming out of his dressing room. Mizoguchi uses production design to make sure that audience understand the social hierarchy of kabuki actors within the Japanese theatre industry by placing Kikunosuke's dressing room a level below the ground and his father's at the top with a bigger, much more airier room. Kikunosuke is presented as an insignificant character that lacks confidence as a kabuki actor. Kikunosuke asks his father how his performance was because he lacks confidence in himself. This is a great example of how camera angles can be used to reveal the scale and vulnerability of a character in a movie. Let's dive into another one of Mizoguchi's favorite shots, a tracking shot. Just over 5 minutes long, this is one of the longest tracking shots in the history of Japanese cinema. There are no cuts, no close-ups, simply the camera following the two characters home. Tracking shots are usually used to follow or lead the subject. In this sequence, Mizoguchi follows the two characters from left to right. By doing so, the director manages to establish several things. The social status of the two characters, as Kikunosuke's house is admired by Otoku at the start of the sequence. To establish the relationship between the two characters. The empathy Kikunosuke has towards his baby stepbrother and Otoku when he buys a wind chime to make the brother go to sleep quickly so Otoku can get some shut-eye. The reason why Mizoguchi plays the camera in a lower angle is something that puzzles me. My theory is it could be used to highlight Kikunosuke's family status by showing how big the family home is and the power that his family has in Tokyo. Let's move on. Let's look at another one of Mizoguchi's favorite shots, wide angle shots. This is one of Mizoguchi's favorite shots throughout his career. To explain this camera angle in depth, let's look at the following sequences on how the story is unfolding from a wide angle perspective. Wide angle lenses have a focal length between 24 and 35 mm. Mizoguchi uses wide shots quite often to capture the sequence in one take. It feels to me like this technique is used to present the story more like a theater production than a film. Let's look at how effective this technique is. In this sequence, a year has passed since Kikunosuke left his father's theater company. Now he is working under a new master in Osaka. In this scene, you can see all the characters are sitting down on the floor except the master. He has been framed in a way almost like a larger-than-life kind of character compared to the rest of the cast in the scene. As the master makes his final decision on Kikunosuke continuing as the chosen actor for the role, the disappointed theater manager takes his leave. As Kikunosuke enters the room and greets the master is seated on the floor in front of his dressing table, this time in equal level to Kikunosuke's eyeline. In this sequence, master facing against the audience and Kikunosuke could mean one thing. Although he is very ill, he is in the dark about his health as Kikunosuke is. As Kikunosuke apologizes for his failure to become a good actor, master turns towards Kikunosuke. This time, the master is presented in an equal footing as Kikunosuke. Their eyes meet for the first time in the sequence. Here, the master explains why Kikunosuke should not apologize for being a terrible actor and ask him to use his youth to gain experience in perfecting his art so one day Kikunosuke can become a great actor himself. This is masterful storytelling in my opinion. Without a single cut, Kenji Mizoguchi choreographed his actors in such a way this sequence alone can teach some fascinating lessons in the art of movie making. Moving on, let's look at another scene from this masterful director. In this scene, Otoku had left her family and come to Osaka to be with Kikunosuke. This is the first time Kikunosuke brings Otoku to his room. As Kikunosuke lights up the room, The room is revealed to the audience in such a way that it feels like a prison due to the pillars you see at the back of the room. To bring depth to the room, the lamp is placed nearest to the camera as it is the main light source. As Kikunosuke takes off his jacket in the background, the lamp and Otoku bring symmetry to the scene. Whilst Kikunosuke go out to get the tea, Otoku has taken the center stage. This time, the director places Otoku in the center of the frame to highlight the importance of her character when folding Kikunosuke's robe. She has become the center of Kikunosuke's life. As the scene progresses, the director choreographed the actors in such a subtle way. Kikunosuke again takes the center stage. This time, it feels to me like the director is trying to establish Kikunosuke and Otoku's relationship again by establishing how Otoku can help the mediocre kabuki actor to regain his confidence and become a star. This time, Otoku is placed in front of the lamp to create both symmetry and to make the audience feel that now she is the metaphorical light in Kikunosuke's life. Moving on, let's take a look at another scene. In this scene, Osato, Kikaguru Ono's wife and Kikunosuke's stepmother, confronts Otoku about having an affair with Kikunosuke. At the start of this sequence, you can see Otoku is facing back to the audience. Whenever I see a person facing back to the audience, I think of it as the director's way of putting the audience in the character's perspective. I may be wrong. Please do tell me what you think in the comments below. So, as Osato confronts Otoku about having an affair with the young master Kikunosuke, the camera pans to the right and follow the new wet nurse carrying the baby around to the side of the building until she disappears, to pan back again to Osato and Otoku. But this time, camera has moved so far forward that you can see profile of Otoku sitting next to Osato. Now, Osato is placed in the center to reflect the importance of her character and the decision she is going to make in the storyline. Again, such a simple scene, yet the choreography and the movement of the camera gives depth and life to the scene as we get to move around with the help of the camera throughout the sequence. Kenji Mizoguchi is not just a director with a camera. He's a master storyteller who understands the structure and concept of storytelling. He knows when and where to place the camera at which point. By watching Kenji Monogatari, you can come to your own conclusions about Kenji Mizoguchi's style of directing. Cinema is all about capturing the human emotions and presenting it to an audience in a more humanized way. If you can make the audience feel like they are part of the story in a visually appealing way, you have a great hit in your hands. Kenji Mizoguchi, thank you for showing us this wonderful technique of storytelling. And to all of you, thank you for watching. Until next time.